first and foremost, we just want to welcome Frankie. Frankie, if you want to just do a quick introduction, tell people your name, your age, what it is you're pursuing, just a little bit about you, quick summary, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Okay. Frankie Corral III. I'm 22, and I'm trying to pursue a life in a prosperous life where helping others in a mental standing and just in general, like coaching and all.
That's cool. So you're saying you're saying pursuing a prosperous life. I love that. I love the fact that you use that word prosperous because that's a very profound word. So you're speaking about helping people. Is that more like in a creative way, or is that more like hands-on, like you're right there helping the people? And then what ways would that be?
So in both manners, I'd like to help in therapy and coaching, trying to help them, because I know we all go through certain traumas in life or just certain situations that withhold us, and helping them manage themselves a little better. Helping themselves manage a little better in life and move forward through that. Or just with certain little things like, going through websites, helping them build up on their careers, both.
That's cool. So you want to be like, I like the idea of coaching people because recently I just signed up for this guy, Alex Hager's, like he does a program called 6 Week Shred. And he has taught me so much about like nutrition and like just intake into the body and like really going from a perspective of like informing people instead of like persuading them to buy a product or persuading them to like follow you or something like that. Although those things can come, right? I feel like those things usually take time. Like this is what I always tell people. And it's like the fact that you want to be famous and you want to be like in the mainstream consciousness, like is great, right? But to get there, that could take 10, 20 years of work, right? Like you see some of these like big name celebrities or like these big name people that everybody knows. It's like you look at their careers and it took years, it took them hustling, grinding. And it's like people think that and then they're like, oh, but they were just meant to be there. And it's like they were meant to be there because they worked so hard for that, And so just to hear you like already developing new ways to like connect with people, that's very exciting because sometimes people just go like very like baseline route where it's just like, oh, I use social media to connect with people, but you're like, I want to help, in any way I can, like whether that's just through words of advice or maybe guiding someone on how to create a website. Like that's great. That's so awesome to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I love how you used the metaphor with the help. Informing people is something I love doing as well, like teaching them about different ways or helping our community in general. Like I work with Team Project or LA on Cloud 9, which give to the homeless community along with Monday Night Mission. So
Wow.
I've been working with them for almost like 3 years and like informing people about them and going on helping.
You said LA on Cloud 9 and then LA Mission. And what was the first?
Team Project. It's a sub to LA on Cloud 9, and Monday Night Mission is another one.
Dang. So you're pretty involved in like community aspects. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I'm a big fan of people who like are activists, as well as just like actors or whatever it is your field, right? Because it feels good. Not only does it feel good to give back, right? But I think everybody should in a sense, right? We live in this world that is like, especially right now with like all this, coronavirus stuff happening. And it's crazy because I think now more than ever, people are truly connecting with themselves more than anything else, and like someone posted on Facebook and was like, what has COVID-19 taught you about yourself? And I was like, dang, that's a really interesting question, and I'd like to just, give that to you. So during this time that you've been quarantined and all this stuff has been happening, what have you learned about yourself? Or like, has there been any big lessons that you've just been like, wow, I got to apply that, anything like that, if you mind sharing?
Well, I've learned that I'm very much an introvert at heart. That's one very, very big fact. No, but I've learned to start bettering people around me, trying to really get involved with more of my friends and family's lives. Like I was very distant and distracted. So
Mm,
like being in quarantine made me try reaching out and getting in contact and like trying to just establish that bond again. And
that's
also, and that helped
that's.
me learn um, in communicating with others as well.
Were you born in LA or where are you from?
So I was born in Linwood, and then I was raised out in Mesquite, Nevada.
In Nevada.
Mhm.
Okay. So is that where the rest of your family is?
Yeah, they're out there right now. I'm a little country boy at heart.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I was Texas raised, but I was born in Peru, and living in Texas is like nothing else in this world. But how long have you been in LA? How long have you been in Los Angeles now?
So I've been in LA about going on 4 years now.
Oh shoot. So dude, we have like a very similar time frame. Like I'm 22 as well, and I'm like gonna hit my fourth year in August. Like I've been here about 3+ years, and it's been a fantastic experience, you know. So blessed to have the opportunities that I've been given. How has that been for you? Like within those 3 years, have you seen like exponential growth in your career in different ways or in like different avenues you want to pursue? I know you have several. That's been
I know. So I saw a little decline. It picked up when I moved out here, but then I felt like I was declining because it was just like regular jobs that I was pursuing just to like, make that paycheck.
mm,
And as soon as I started realizing who I was, it was actually this year I started realizing more about myself and what I wanted to do with my life because I was already helping out with the homeless community. I was going to our neighborhood council meetings. I was doing all these things, and it
wow.
just like sparked something in me. And I was like, okay, I need to do more than just what I'm doing now. And I hit a really rough patch, and then just all of a sudden started coming back up by the beginning of this year.
It's a good year to start. I mean, it's crazy because so many people were like 2020 is our year. Like 2020 is going to be the year of so many great changes, and it's like in a way it kind of has been. But I want to delve deep into exactly like what you're like specific creative fields that you're pursuing. I know that you're pursuing poetry and acting as well as photography, correct?
Yes.
And then is there anything else aside from those three, or is that like your main three right now?
Um, so my main have honestly have been and art, writing, and photography have been my main three for a while.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Gotcha. Great. That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're hyphenated like that. It's a very needed thing in the industry. That is, I think new people when they show up, they're like, I want to act, or I want to sing, and it's like you also have to be a business owner
Yeah.
and like know how to guide your business because you become that business, and that's great that you have like so many different passions, and you're like, because the thing about it, I've personally found this is you can have many different routes that you want to go, and they might not happen like 0 to 100 right away. That one might be 0 to 10. This one might be 0 to 50, and then there is a 0 to 100. So it's like you can still pursue everything, but it's just in its own time. It's like let it all be in its own time. I always say trust in God's timing and like align yourself with His purpose because it honestly is just the things that I've experienced in this city and like the people I've met have just been have had such a profound impact on me. I'm curious to know who have been some of the people who have like given you some of the best advice you've gotten or kind of have like set you back on that right track when you've been feeling like this just kind of is starting to feel very stagnant. Like who have been those people?
Ooh. Um, so I guess influence-wise, I'd want to say my mother. She's
Mm,
been a profound influence, even if it was kind of rough. They still were great advice to give. One of my really close friends, Jeff David, he's my best friend and coach at the same time. So he's been trying to help me stay on my fluid path. Yeah. And of course, Chris Giovanni. He's helped me through a big rough patch that I hit and helped me just keep my momentum going.
mm. That sounds like you got a good group of people around you, which is awesome. Because It is needed. Do you find yourself do you find yourself like when you think about the future, do you see like you're more in a team where it's like me and my group of friends or group of people, we're all helping each other to like move up? Or is it just like you're like, I'm I'm the talent, and then it's like everybody else is still associated with me and we're all good? Like, how do you see it?
I view it as we all have our own set talents and we all move at a certain pace. We're not one of us is doing more than the other. It's just we have to realize where one is and just try to help them get to that point in life so that we all can prosper together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, first of all, I just want to touch on writing first. How long have you been writing? Because I'm a screenwriter myself, so I always love meeting people who can write. So, how long have you been writing?
Oh, since high school, so like a while.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So almost like 4 years, you would say, maybe 5 years, even
Um,
longer, maybe, right?
well,
You're like,
probably longer. Probably longer. I want to say like no, honestly, probably middle school. Jesus Christ. Sorry.
no. So it could almost be like 8 or 9 years that you've been writing. And is that like short stories or like scripts, or is it just like free? Like I know you're doing poetry, so I'm like, is that where you kind of develop that too?
Yeah, so I got at first it was just writing. So I was writing a book one time, just out of nowhere. That was my first ever like that made me know I loved writing. Started writing
Yeah.
a book. Don't know where it went, but started gaining the experience in writing, learning in grammar class, and like keeping everything going. And then I learned that I like poetry. Edgar Allan Poe is my like all-time favorite, and
Mm,
rapping. Odd, but
happy.
I started making raps with very, very profound language. Like, how can I ever say it? The words were excelled.
Yeah, like the messaging that you had put out there in the song or in the rap was like more profound than what you would find in like some random,
Yeah.
mainstream artists who might not necessarily be there. That's awesome. That's great. I love experimental anything creative. Like I think if you're willing to just put pen to paper and just write or freehand or just like have a stream of consciousness, as they say, and just go, and then you end up with something like that you can build off of. Um, we had this guy who was like, what did he call it? We had this guy, he was a creative, and he was telling us like that first draft for anything is just almost like the vomit draft where you just kind of like let it happen and like, don't worry too much about the little inconsistencies here or the spelling too much, but just let it go. Obviously if you see it, change it, but don't worry so much about the end product just yet because you're just starting, right? And that's really cool. Have you written anything that you're just like, this is so like, this was key, like I love this piece of work, like, or writing? Is there anything like that has really stood out to you out of your catalog?
So on my website, I have The Inventor and His Lost Love that I started, and I'm loving how it's turning out. That one was very flowy. I just kept going nonstop with it and had to re-edit like crazy. But that one, I feel like it's going to come to a very harsh ending. I don't know yet, or trying to plan that out, but I love it. The theory behind it, which I'm going to be writing later. Someone who's so lost in their own intelligence, they don't see what's right in front of them, and they see what they want to, and so they lose that image once they realize what is actually there.
Wow, that's cool. I love that title, The Inventor and His Lost Love. That just spawns so many thoughts of like what it's about, or like where can you take that? Have you ever heard of a book called Love and Honey? It's a poetry book. I'm blanking on the woman's name who wrote it, but there was a page that I saw that said, you've touched me without even touching me. And I was like, that is so profound, because it's saying like, I think sometimes, I mean, I've read some poems where people go really like, they get very psychological with stuff and they start very going in depth, which is really cool. But that concept to me is really interesting because it kind of fits with what you're saying of this person who's so caught up in their own intelligence. And then it's like, you have this person who taps into that intelligence, and it's like, you can connect with them just with your mind without even having any physical attributes that have happened yet, or like those factors haven't come into play, you know? And I think that that's such an interesting concept, because I feel like the world is always run, and like people always try to sexualize things. Like you see ads and like marketing, it's like, oh, you have the pretty girl with the little tank top, and it's like, oh shoot, you know, where's that going? Where's she going? You know, and you want to follow it. So it's like, yeah. And it's crazy because I feel like sometimes people like I've started to realize this now too. And it's so easy to like put yourself in a box sometimes, you know, because you start trying to conform to what people like. And I read this thing the other day, and they were like, you can't make something that everybody will like. Like that's like an impossibility, you know, like, because there's always going to be someone out there that's going to be like, that's just not for me, or they're going to thumbs down it on YouTube or whatever. But it's like being able to take that and then just turn it back around and being like, look, maybe I just wasn't for you and you weren't for me. That's all good. You know, like, let's just move on. Like it's crazy how many times you just have to be able to let things roll off, you know, like let it roll over, and then just like, don't even sweat it, you know? Have you found that, like, are you the same, like, are you kind of like in that same mindset where it's like, because I know with actors and like pursuing creativity, it's a very tough business, right? Especially with entertainment, especially wanting to do activism work. So have you felt like, where was your struggle throughout that journey? Where have you found that struggle? And like, how would you tell us about it? Like,
so I found my struggle more in, I guess just in the image of it all, just because everyone kept seeing what they wanted to see of me. And so I just kept it up because that was just what everyone was already seeing. So might as well keep on the facade that everyone wants to, that feels content. And from
so
there,
it was like identity.
Yeah, more so. And then finally struggling with, is this really me or is it not? Like, am I just a pretty face rather than a more intellectual mind, where I can help people, or I can just help them, you know, in another, like, in a more,
Yeah.
sense.
Like you're looking at it, and I think this is what you're trying to say, is it's like, it's fun to entertain and like make people smile, but then you can actually, you know, have a helping hand, or like go in and like talk to them about their life, and like, you know, speak life into them. Like, what's your mental health situation? Like, I ask that every once in a while to people, because I think that it's so important just to check in, you know, because someone could just be like bubbly and great, like, oh my God, life is amazing. And then it's like the cameras turn off, they're alone at home, and it's like sadness, you know? And it's like, people, I think some people are very like they get too introverted to the point where they don't know how to even vocalize that, you know? And like, it is very real you see it a lot in this industry, especially in like LA and Hollywood. Like, you meet actors and you meet people who've been, like, I met someone who was like, oh, I've been acting for like 15 years and like I still haven't gotten any like big roles, right? And I'm just like, that's pretty crazy, you know, to run into someone who's still, but she was like, I'm still good though. Like, I'm still happy with where I'm at. Like, I'm happy that I'm making a living and I'm just in the city, you know, because I know at any moment they could be looking for me, and I'll be here. And I'm just like, that's a really positive attitude for someone who's been in something for so long, you know? And I don't know, it just sounds like you're very motivated. Like, you're just kind of on track to like, you're like, I want to go and impact the world and in this city as well, and just people in this industry. So that's very exciting. I love that. Do you feel like you've made a lot of really good friends out here, or have you like struggled with that? I know some people struggle with making like close friends in the city because they feel like everybody, like you were saying, it's kind of feels like everybody's kind of playing a facade, right? Like, we're all sticking with a role, and it's like in people's minds, they're like, oh, when I think of Frankie, I think of this, or like when I think of Luigi, I think of this. But it's like we're three-dimensional now. So it's like, what have your experiences been like?
So I mainly stick to myself a lot of the time. When I'm out, I am very outgoing. I will talk to everyone, talk up a storm. But in reality, I am very secluded. I try to keep my circle very small, even though a lot of people see me as like super friendly and all this. I have like my family is my friends.
I got you. Like the family is the core.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I find I kind of fall into that as well, where I have my family above everybody else. Because it's like, even when you trust someone, you don't know anybody's intentions behind whatever the face they give you, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I've been in some tricky situations where I've been like, I don't know if I should have done that, or I don't know if I should have been here, you know, or like, sometimes it's better to stay in. Like right before coronavirus and all this quarantine happened, we had just found like an after hour spot that was popping in this house in where was it? It wasn't in Sherman Oaks because it wasn't too far. It was like Silver Lake area, almost Hollywood Hills area. And like it was packed. Like when I tell you that it was packed, there was like, it went from 0 to 100 in the course of from 2 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. It was packed. Like over 200 people showed up at this house. And this is in the eve of a quarantine. Like this is the day before they were like, everybody stopped having these mass gatherings. I was like, oh my God. So it's just interesting. Are you like a big party guy, or do you like I know you're saying you like to go out and socialize, but do you like to go like to parties, or are you more just like, I want to hit up a bar with a, you know, with a friend, or how do you, what does a night out look like for Frankie?
So a night out for me is actually a night in. I love watching movies, pigging out like crazy, and or playing video games, and just like chilling. Like that's my night of like a night in, playing games like with my friends. But a lot of the time, all my friends like partying or like going out, and everyone sees me as like, you know, the facade. So they see the party guy, and so they want to always, hey, you want to come out? Hey, you want to come out? Never, hey, do you want to go stay in and watch a movie or do this and that? It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, I got that. So it's like people are always hitting you up for like, let's go on and like, let's go party, let's go have a like good time. You're just like, you guys just want to come over and like we can order a pizza or something. Like, yeah, really get that. That's it's good to have the best of both worlds. I think like there's a fair balance for certain things. Like, and I learned this recently. Someone told me, they were like, if there's a once in a lifetime event going on tonight, you have to go. Like if you can go, you have to go, because it's like there's never going to be anything like it. You know, you never know who you're going to meet, you know, or who you might run into. And it's just like, because sometimes I get really like, I'm like, I don't want to dress up because I know I got to go and put on like a nice suit, and you got to do all this stuff to like show up, you know, because you don't want to necessarily just show up in anything. And it's funny because for the longest time, I would always observe other people. And then someone brought it. Like I went to this party at UCLA a couple years ago, and someone was like, they came up to me and they were like, do you notice that people observe you just as much as you observe them? And it completely changed everything for me. I was like, oh shit, I never really even thought about that, because I was just so living in my own little bubble, like my own world of like, you know, you're not necessarily like a selfish thinker, but just like I was so caught up in just enjoying myself that I didn't stop to be like, oh, those people are like examining me and like trying to see what kind of person I am. And it was so funny because now like sometimes I'll still get to that, like where that thought will pop in and I'm just like, I wonder what these people are thinking. Like, I wonder if these people notice me, or I wonder if that, you know, and it's just, it's very interesting. Like, do you ever like struggle with like social norms and like the way society kind of is right now, like social media, such a big focus in those worlds? Like, do you ever feel like it's too much and overwhelming, or are you very just like, you know what, I own it. I'm in my own skin. I feel comfortable. How do you feel about that?
Oh, totally in my own skin. Like I'll walk the streets in whatever the heck I want to. I do keep my composure at times. Like I have to be like, I am very analytical too, so I understand that 100%. I thinking from top to bottom what's gonna happen. Yeah, just pretty open with everything I do. So like,
That's amazing. Do you find that helps you with your art? Do you find like allowing yourself to be so open-minded and just like free, you can just explore new things, or how does that play into your creative ability?
So I feel like more so that helped with my confidence rather than I had to push myself out there so I can build with my art. That's where my analytical ability comes into play, like analyzing everything in every situation. I draw a backstory from everything. because I can read body language, mouths, eye gestures and all
Yeah,
that. So it's very horrible in my mind to like think. I'll constantly be thinking, but it gives me my art as well.
that's cool. Have like when I know you mentioned art before, is that like painting or is that like drawing or what kind of art is that specifically?
So I just recently found out that I am bad at painting. But pencil to pen, digital art, and
Pencil to
just abstract, I'm phenomenal. Or at least in my own thought, like, my opinion, I'm pretty good.
abstract. That's cool. That's very exciting. It's cool that you have like that. You're at least testing yourself.
Mhm.
It's like you're not just staying in like oh I should just try painting. Oh, it didn't work
Yeah.
out. You know what? Art isn't for me. You're like, let me try something else. Let me try something different. That's so cool. That's
And I
really cool.
always try to
And
test the waters a little bit before so that you always know. Because, like you had said, you'll never know what you're good at unless you try it.
mm.
Might as well try everything.
Don't you wish that was like what college was really like, where they would just be like, hey, dip into everything. Instead, you're just like,
I wish. Oh,
have
I
fun.
haven't gone, but
Oh, you didn't go? You didn't go to college?
no, I did not pursue a college career. I wanted to, but work and all that took over my life for a moment, and then just had to move from there and keep moving forward. But
No,
I
that
do plan on going because I want to go study medicine. So
you want to. Oh, you want to study medicine? That's cool. That's cool. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting take on like your whole creative world, and you're like, but I want to like go study medicine, so I'm like smarter with the health stuff. That's really interesting. Um, yeah, I didn't go to college either. Well, I went to college, but I dropped out, and like I didn't like fully see it through because it just didn't feel like it was for me. Like it was nice, it was a great experience, but there was so many other factors at play that now, 3 years later, you're just like, that was the best decision I could have made. So I'm right there with you. You don't need it. You don't really need it.
yeah.
Like,
Woo!
yeah, it's like, don't even sweat it, because I've met several people who are like making it and are like succeeding in some way, and they're like, I didn't go to college, or I didn't get a college degree. So it's like, I feel like that's such a basic standard that people try to set for everyone, like, oh, college is like something you have to do. But I think college is supposed to be a transitionary kind of like, couple years where you're just kind of like transitioning out of, rules and the obligatory world that was like through 12th grade. And then they're like, here's all this freedom, and then you're like, oh, wow, like I can pretty much do anything, and then all of a sudden after that, it's like, now you're out in the world, and like now you're really like living in the world, and people are like expecting things from you, and like you should be expecting things from yourself, and it's like, it's so strange to me how like that isn't explained well. Like that is never explained well enough to where if I was in high school, I would be like, yes, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna fucking go and conquer, even though that's your mentality. You don't know how it's gonna get there. You don't know how you're gonna get to that point. So that's great that you're able to like you're able to hone in on all your abilities and like your gifts and skills without even having to go, because I commend you on that. Like, don't spend the money, if you don't need to, like,
Yeah.
don't spend, like, it's crazy. That's so cool. So you also mentioned, so how's the acting? How's the acting going for you? How's like, have you like been in anything so far? Are you working on your reel? Like, how's it going for you in acting?
Yeah, so I've been in of course audience, and then I have something coming up soon. I'm trying to work on it right now. Hopefully I get it, but I have to keep it a little vague for the moment.
Hey, fingers crossed, and I got you. Fingers
Thank
crossed.
you.
Like, you seem like you have such a fun, bubbly personality, but you're so like, I could totally see you being serious if you needed to,
Yeah.
which is a great, like, those are the you seem like you got a good head on your shoulders, as some people say. So that's
Thank you.
really great to hear. And then photography, how's that world? Are you like an Instagram photographer where you like post, do you have another Instagram, or is that more just like when I see something I'm inspired, I want to snap it, and maybe you keep it for yourself? How are you?
So it's more mainly just like the inspiration. I actually have another Instagram for my art.
That's cool.
I've been trying to like build on that, but for photography, it's mainly just my own stuff. I don't edit it. I usually try to get the best shots. I'll take like a million shots in 1 second and just sit there and just going on and off. It's not even funny.
Wow. Oh, so you're just like free like da 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 da.
No, get into the pose like where I want the general image, where I'm seeing the vision of what I want to see, and I'll go and try to hit angles, but I'll just take like a million photos right there. I'll be like, okay, one angle, 50 photos, another angle, 50 photos.
Yeah, that's cool. Like really try to like capture what it is you're seeing, like from different angles. That's great. Yo, it sounds like at 22, you got a lot of fucking like energy and all this like confidence. I love it because I'm just like, that's great to see because it motivates me. You know, I'm motivated by you and just like hearing you're like, I'm out there just da, 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 like I'll go home, I'll edit the pics, I'll do this. Like that's kind of where I'm trying to get at. Like especially like building this new show that I'm creating. And once I have it all up and once this quarantine is over, I'll definitely get you back on, Frankie. Like, don't even sweat. Because I want to talk some more for sure. For me, it's like once you start learning and like really honing in on certain skills, like you start being able to build so much more than like just baseline. Like I keep saying, like this baseline where it's like, oh, maybe I'm a singer, but I haven't necessarily gone and done live shows yet. You know, it's like, oh, I like to just sing in the shower. And it's like, okay, oh, I like to act, but I don't, I'm not pursuing trying to get representation, or I'm not on Actors Access or whatever. Right. So it's like, it seems like you've taken the necessary steps to make each of these fields like work for you, not you work for them, but they work for you, which is great. That's really awesome. That's cool that because listening to you talk has like I'm just like, this guy clearly has a path that he set for himself. If you like, let's say if you wanted to be Google searched, like someone Google searched you right now, what is the one thing you want to be known for? Like out of all of those things, if you had to have one that was like, oh, someone just Google searched me and that was the first thing that popped up, that was like this, Frankie Corral's like, boom, this.
Oh, Frankie Corral is, I don't really know. And
I got you, bro. You're like,
I know, I'm like sidetracked. So, I don't know. I've thought of like, I always want to be this person to where everyone can come to and they can feel safe and secure with just about anything and feel like they'll not only feel at ease, but they'll grow as a person. To me. So I don't know. Like I would love to for that. Like,
no, that's awesome. It sounds like deep down what you want to do, and like you touched on this at the beginning, is like the coaching stuff where it's like you can just freely talk to someone and be like, hey, maybe this is the direction you need to take your life. Maybe life coaching, you should add it on there to your thing, as well as like creative coaching. But those kind of go hand in hand if you kind of find the right people. That's really exciting. That's so cool. I want people to talk to me and like walk away knowing like they're in a better place if they needed that, Yeah. Do you find yourself like being very vocal and honest when it comes to situations where like maybe that you can help someone, or like maybe you can give someone advice, or like you've struggled with that in the past and you knew how to deal with it, and are you very vocal and like you just, hey, maybe I can help?
Yeah. So in the past, I have not had anyone there for me. And so I had to really learn what it was to build. I had to learn certain emotions, like how to deal with them, practice it, and then see which ones worked, which ones didn't. And from there, I got people to try to like, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I got like sidetracked right there.
Yeah, you're thinking about it, which is great, because it's like you should be thinking about like how you want to impact people, and like in those situations, like I'm very big into the Holy Spirit and like my relationship with God, and like him guiding me to different people and like guiding me to different places. And sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm just like, what do I say to this person? Like I don't know how to start a conversation with them, even though it's like one of the easiest things to do. You put so much pressure around it, and sometimes it's just about just going up to them and just saying, hey, how was your day? And then they just spill and they're like, oh my God, this happened today. So it's like, it sounds like you're not afraid to be a lending ear or like just to sit there and listen, you know, which is really cool. How is do you have any type of faith relationship, or like what is your spirituality like, I guess, like, or do you have anything like that?
I believe that we are all capable of becoming, I guess that you'd say spiritual. I'm more so like honing in on our own selves and being our own gods in a matter, where we are created here on this earth. We are made to make an impact, and we prosper with not only our knowledge, with, you know, we pass down generation of genetics. So it's not just knowledge we're passing down in certain biological information. We're just creating more, and just a lot to go into.
No, you're absolutely right. I like, keep that thought going, because what you're saying is, it's like, not only do we pass down what we learn to like the next generation, like, what do you want to have kids one day? Like, do you want to be a dad? Yeah. Right. So it's like, you want to be able to take what you learned, and like, I always think about this, because it's like, when I was younger, all I wanted to do was be a dad. Like, I was like, I just want to have a kid, like, you know. And now I'm like, nah, I gotta wait off on that, because like the world is crazy. But now, like, when I do think about it, I'm like, one day I'll be telling them stories, and I'll be sharing with them like knowledge that I've learned that I know is important, you know. And it's like, to you, what is that? Like, what is the most important thing that you've learned, that, and is that like having to do with you, like personally? Like, you're saying you're very analytical and introspective, I'm assuming, right? So it's like, looking within yourself, like, what has been that lesson that you're like, you take it with you? Like, I'll say this before you answer that. One of the things that stuck with me that Chris actually said, it was the first time we interviewed him, or it may have been the second. And he said, you know, maybe your goals aren't like right there in front of you, but every single action that you take is bringing you closer to them, right? And you're always closer every step that you take. And I always remember that, because I'm like, damn, that is some good ass fucking advice. Like, even if you feel like things are distant, like, at least you're getting closer and closer every step of the way. So I'm curious to know if there has been anything like that where it's just been really profound and you were like, that's a life lesson. Like, I'm taking that and I'm keeping that forever, like in the back of my pocket. Like, it's always there. Like, is there anything like that? Do you?
Myself, I haven't heard anything. I always feel like everything contradicts itself. It feels like there's always double meaning to it, and you could take it and interpret it in every way. I've mainly held true to just like fact that we ourselves are in control of our of what we do, and regardless of if we are going in a fast pace or slow pace, as long as we keep the momentum of our lives going, there will never be any shortage of the knowledge we can create.
I like that. You got to keep moving forward, is what people say.
Yeah.
Always keep moving forward. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad that you're kind of like in that mindset, because those are the types of people that I meet in LA, and I'm always like I always say, you'll meet people that are similar to the same type of mindset or the same type of vibe that you're on, because it's like, that's just the way that it is, you know. Like, people, I've seen interviews with people that they speak about like finding your tribe, and finding people in this world that basically are so similar to you, they could almost be like blood related, you know, like you're like, they're like family, and you're just like, what the heck, like, this is crazy. My friend Christine, she likes to say that you have several soulmates in life, right? Like, you will meet several people, maybe you don't fall in love with them, or maybe you don't necessarily have like a relationship as far as like a, you know, physical relationship with them, but it may be an emotional relationship, right? And you can find a soulmate who has an emotional relationship, and you connect to those people. And like, when she first told me that, I was like tripping out about it, because I was like, what does that even mean? Like, multiple soulmates? Like, that doesn't seem right, you know? But when you start really delving into that and like trying to take that apart, you're like, shoot, there are several people in my life that I do connect with on an emotional level, that we can just talk for hours about who knows what, and they're always there for me, you know? So it's like, and that doesn't mean that's your girlfriend, or it doesn't necessarily mean that's a family member, but like, it could be a friend that you run into every once in a while, and they just are filled with joy, You know, like I have a friend named Hannah, and she very much is like that, where she's always just buzzing with joy, you know. And it's like sometimes you go through peaks and valleys in life, like that's normal, you know. And like I had a dream the other day, like a couple weeks back, that I was in like this very dark place. Like I was in a dark room, and there was confused and lost people around me. Like they were just like yelling, like, oh, like lost, like I'm lost, or like super confusing things. And I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't think. I couldn't do anything. And she came out of nowhere, and she brought she put her hand out, and she brought this light with her. And I was tripping out about that dream, because I was like, what is the significance of that? You know, like why her? You know, why was she the one that was bringing me out of that? And I wasn't even necessarily like in a dark place, but you'll have these dreams that are just like super meaningful. But it allowed me to connect with her, right? Because I sent her a message saying, hey, you know, like I'm saying, I was very open to it. I was open to the idea that there could potentially be criticism, right? Like why are you telling me this is kind of weird? But it's like, she was so happy. She was like, that's so great that I'm able to provide you with light in your dreams. I was like, that's awesome, you know? She's just there, you know. And she's just like, it's great to find those people that will exude love no matter what, you know. And it kind of feels like that's you, like you kind of fit in that group. You are very creative, and you're a lot more like enthusiastic about helping other people, which is a great sign for someone who is like involved themselves in that city, because Los Angeles is in so much need of the not only the acting community and like the creatives, but just like regular people, and motivating them to go out and like, hey, maybe you can stand in line and like help some homeless people get fed, you know. Or maybe you can go out and like clean a little area, like pick up trash. It's like those small little things accumulated by millions of people, if you can make it happen, you can clean up a whole city, you can clean up a whole life. Like I think that's the most powerful thing. Words are very powerful, and actions are even more powerful. So that's I know I kind of went on a side rant there for a second,
Oh, no,
but
that's totally fine. Like I love it. Like I was thinking about so like love influences love, just like hate influences hate. Like I am constantly on, like I believe myself to be a person of unconditional love. I cannot hate anyone for the life of me. It irks my soul to just even feel a little dread in someone. I can't. So it's like I love hearing that someone else brings you light. I do try to do that in life as well. Trying to tell people about different things, like what we can do to benefit the world, not only ourselves, because I feel like we're all too selfish in that manner. Not as a bad thing. Like everyone should see themselves as number one. They have to help themselves, or else they can't help others. But going on the LA life, people in there, we just need to push love and humanity rather than what we're going on.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That could almost be the title of this: push love and humanity. I love that. That's great. No, because it's true. It's true. Those are like my main focuses, I think. I work in politics as well. And just being like, I'm involved with this guy's congressional campaign. He's running for Congress, and like looking at the way that a congressional campaign works, and then seeing like the reaction that people have to what the current status is, you know, it's very interesting to see a very, very sharp contrast in the amount of people who want change, and in the amount of people who are willing to go and make the change happen, you know. Because it's one thing to talk and like be like, change is needed now, but then to actually go and like vote, or actually go up and like protest, you know, a company, or like that takes some balls, you know. And like that's some real shit. Like I always commend people who are willing to go out there, and even like you did like with those organizations before, just to be there and give them your time is so significant, because what else do we have if it's not time, you know? And if you like, I'm curious to know, out of all of the things you do, where do you spend the most of your time, you know? And before, and then now that you're in quarantine, because I'm curious to know that, like, how has it changed, or has it been the same?
So to go on it, like one person, what does it take? What was the word? So it takes one person to create a war, just like it takes one person to create a riot. I love that.
Yeah, I heard that before. That's cool.
So like I love that. Yeah, like we can all influence each other in that way. But in the past, I was a very like out, what is it, extrovert. So I was out there. I was always constantly being, the party guy, like hanging out, doing my thing. Because I was working. I was like always needing my free time. So now seeing how my life has changed from there, I'm more honing in on who I am and, really being me rather than what I wanted to be for others.
When would you say you transitioned into that? From that other party guy to being more like self-oriented and being more like, let me worry about me right now. Let me grow me right now before I try to tackle the rest of the world.
So this was recently, like August of last year. Yeah, so I hit a very large snag in life, and I started realizing that I can't not the negative annotation of relying on people, but just that I can't always rely on others to do things or make myself happy. So I needed to start realizing who I was and moving forward from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm writing some notes down. I'm I promise you I'm paying attention. That's great though. So in August, you finally got to the point where you were like, you know what? This isn't me. This is me. Like this other person is more aligns with who I am and like where I want to go. That's awesome. That's great. Because trust me, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing because you get so caught up in the manufactured that you don't even remember what reality is like, like that's the realest point I can make. Like, because it really, like, even just you talking about it, I'm just like, I've met a lot of fake people out here, and like you'll run into them. They're at every street corner. They're at every bus stop, right? But for you to be able to discern, like, oh, this person's real, and like to hone in on them and be like, that's great that you're taking the time to build yourself up. But I think that once you go back and start talking life into other people and like bringing them into your situation and like showing that love, I think you're just going to shine so much, which is going to be awesome to see. So that's really great. That's really great. And before we start wrapping this up, any last thoughts that you're having? Anything else you want to share? If you want to share your website, tell people about your Instagram, where they can find you, how they can follow you, all that good stuff. We all want to know it. We all want to know it.
So, so based on the positive people and negative, like, I feel like we need to push towards negative and create a positive outcome from it, because a lot of the people that, like, we can influence one another to make that change. Like, I can bring in positive people into my life, but that is just creating more of a positivity in them and keeping that negative in that same mindset. When we could work as a group, or one person can sit there and try to help them out and, hone in on what's creating that negativity or what is adding on to it, or, constructing this and just destroy it completely and reconstruct a new being for themselves. That's awesome.
I love that, because you got me all speechless, right? I'm like, let me clear my thought. Yo, that's so cool. Like, push for the people who are in a negative place and try to pull them out of it. Yeah. Like that's really different, because most people are like, oh, just try to stick around positive people, positive vibes only. I don't feel no negativity. I don't try to put myself in places like that. But you're the opposite. You're like, put yourself in that with those people and try to pull them out, because you can, because you're in such a positive place. Like, that is an interesting perspective, because if you are in such a positive place, that person's negativity won't bring you down to their level. You'll bring them up to yours. That's good. I love that. Really good.
I know, that's always been my theory. I love it. Like, I've been put into those places, and I feel vibrations are a main thing in life, where when you're emitting I actually explained this to my friend. We were talking about Pokemon as the theory. So, when they're shooting the hyper beam and one of them is coming at it, one force has a stronger push than the other. Yeah. But yet one can still envelop it and blast the other away. So that's how I
Mm.
feel the vibrations are. Like when you're emitting such positivity into the world and you are just on such an extreme level of happiness, you can create that happiness in someone else, because then they light up, their smile comes back, and they don't start thinking of that negative thoughts anymore. Like it's just so far gone that they start building themselves. The only thing that is bad about that as well is because that could become a reliance where you need to like hold that ground and try to teach them at the same time. So that's what, yeah.
Do you, and I don't know if you've had any experiences with that, but the reliance, I think, is very real. That is, because sometimes you show kindness to someone, right? Because you're a very, you're positive and you're happy. So you want to share that. And that person almost latches on to you like, oh, you're so positive. I don't know how to get to that. Like, how do I get there? And then they start kind of like I said, it's very difficult. That's why I'm so interested in this perspective that you bring up, because I don't think I've thought of, I'm sure I have at some point, but not necessarily in such deep sense where it's like those people, you shouldn't have problem reaching out to people who are in a negative headspace or might be depressed, because you're able to bring such positivity that you remove all of that thinking from them in general, that they're not even thinking about their depression anymore, because you're just like, worry about the now, live in the now, live in the fact that you're alive and that you can breathe. Like you start reminding people of what they have, they start being more grateful,
Yeah.
but just in that same sense, you can you can fall in to you can take a positive person and then bring them into this negative world, and sometimes people get sucked into it. But it's your awareness of knowing that could happen, that'll stop you from letting it happen.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that the way you see it, because I think that needs to be kind of like shared more. Like definitely people need to understand that, so that's really cool.
Like a lot of people need to learn that there are certain bounds. Like me, I go past my bounds all the time, 24/7. Even if like I feel a little negative toward like brought to me, I know my positivity is outnumbers it. So like when I get hit by it, I'll be a little bit like, down for a second, but then I come back up within that second. Like I'm back, I'm like, it's okay. I know you're dealing with some stuff. I'm here for you at least.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's awesome. Like you let it roll off. You very much let it roll off, but at least you take it in still, because sometimes it's like negativity could not necessarily be like just someone saying a bad thing to you, but it could just be like, oh, maybe this negative, like constructive criticism. Sometimes people see it as like, oh, you're just trying to be so picky about my life. And it's like, no, sometimes constructive criticism is exactly what you need, and it takes a third eye perspective from somebody who's away from your life to really tell you this is where you need to go, or this is what's working well. Pursue that more, find your niche in that market, try to hone in on that, but at the same time allowing yourself to still explore, allowing yourself to explore these different outlets of creativity and these different areas that shit. Did you see the TikTok that they're saying, are you on TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Yeah.
Have you seen the TikTok where they're like, so there's a guy that posted a video about, he put a piece of art on eBay for $250, and then he checked it the next day and it was at like 11,000, and then he checked again and it was at like 30,000. And like, so all these people are just making these pieces of art on TikTok, and then they're like posting them on eBay for like $250. And that to me is so interesting, how like, I don't know why people weren't already doing that. Like, why does it take someone showing you, hey, this is how you do it, for people to be like, oh, this is possible to sell art on eBay for like large prices, And I'm just like, that was always available. Like, you could always do that. But it's someone bringing you that information and like opening your eyes to it, that is like, oh, there is opportunity there that I didn't even know about, And I think that same principle falls into this whole conversation about positive and negative, right? If you bring them that perspective of positivity in a way where it aligns with who they are, their eyes are open to, why was I living in such a negative headspace? Why was I allowing those thoughts, or maybe it's another person or whatever the factor may be, to control me, right? Because the whole idea of being positive is you're free. You yourself have control over your situation and your life. Negativity is what brings you down and makes you feel like you have no control, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see you, like, I don't know, I'm caught up on that, because I just love that. Like, you're like, nah, dude, like, like I know positive vibes are good, but it's like sometimes helping those people who are in the negative headspace is what's needed. I like to say, think of everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a very big thing that I live my life through. And it's like, think of everyone in all situations. How will they be affected by this? Or like, what if I was in somebody else's shoes? Just to give you more perspective on life, you know, which is what most of living is about, and sharing that, you know? So I appreciate you just, you know, allowing me to interview you and like talking to me about all this stuff, because you're very interesting and you're very unique, I think, in the way you think and the way you act, and just the different things that you're doing. Like you're doing so much. It's almost like blowing. Like it is almost blowing, because it's like you got poetry, you got acting, you got photography, art, writing, like you're doing coaching, you want to be an activist. Like I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Like keep going. Don't be afraid of the people who tell you you can't do it and tell you that you're not good enough, because it's like they're not right and they don't know nothing. You know, like they don't know shit. Like they don't know. So I'm just excited to see, you know, my bro Frankie just rise. You just keep rising, man. So last thing, just leave them with your website, your Instagram, all that good stuff. And then one last message, whatever's in your heart, just talk to the people.
So website, Frankie Corral, .com. And for Instagram, it's going to be Frankie Corral 3. And my message from heart is keep your heart true and share it with the world.
Keep your heart true and share it with the world. I love that. And the Frankie Corral 3, that was the Instagram you said. What was the art Instagram? You said you had an art Instagram?
So that one is F_3_artsy.
Artsy. Gotcha. F_3_artsy. And then Frankie Corral, spell your name out, because I feel like people want to, that way they can go and find it.
So it's FRANKIE
CORRAL. And then there's the 3.
Yeah,
at the end of
the 3rd.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I've loved this. I enjoyed this heavily. Like I wish I was on E! News so that people would see this and be like, wow, that guy's awesome. Maybe that's what I'll do next. I'll just be on E! News and just be a correspondent for them.
I'd love to see that. Okay.
I'll bring you on. That's like one of my goals, like with this production company I started. I want to do red carpet interviews, and like I've reached out to a couple people. I just need to, I'm really, like I'm telling you, this show that I'm starting and I'm going to create is going to be like off the charts. Like it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be so successful. So
I can see you getting there. So.
I love this. I love talking to you. I hope that you have a great, wonderful week. Today's Sunday, so I hope your week is just awesome, and that you enjoy yourself, continue to thrive in all of the different ways that you do, and spreading that love and positivity, man. That's awesome. I'm very grateful to have met you, and just glad that Chris was able to connect us, because you're just an awesome dude. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything, like the talk and all. You opened my eyes to actually a lot of things that I hadn't thought of before. So thank you for that. And you appreciate it as well.